How am I going to improve this little animation? So I start by drawing the keyframes, which are the main positions of the thing you're animating. And I'm using reference here because I didn't want to take the time to figure out exactly how a cat moves because that work has been done. This is a series of photos by the 19th century photographer Edweard Muybridge. Look him up if you don't know about him. He did some really important work on the cusp of cinematic motion pictures. He took still images of moving creatures, including cats. He did not do films, but his photographs were basically little films. So I'm using each of his photographs as my keyframes. I rendered them just in silhouette so that I could get my motion right before I added the detail. And now I'm going to move it onto the background that I've already rendered. I think he's going a little bit too fast. His keyframes are too far apart. So I'm going to go in and move him closer together. Up here, you can see the X and Y axes, so you can be very precise. All right, that's looking better. Now I'm going to turn on the rain. See him running through the rain. Something's not quite right here. I've realized that the speed of the rain and the speed of the running are not lining up the way I'd like. So I tried doubling the frame rate. That doesn't work either. The cat's the right speed, but the rain's too fast. So this took some fiddling around, but I finally figured out that I needed a 2:3 ratio of frames for the rain versus the cat motion. You select your keyframes and you have two options. You can duplicate or you can copy and paste. So what I did was I tripled the keyframes so that would be the base speed for the rain. And then I moved the cat keyframes so that there were 2 cat keyframes for every 3 rain keyframes. I had to do this manually, which is super not fun, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Then I messed around with the animation speed to get the effect that I wanted. I ended up moving from 12 to 18. And I think actually the final version that I uploaded to TikTok was at 24. But sometimes you just have to do what looks right. Go with your gut. All right, now that I have that sorted, I'm going to go back and start rendering the detail to my keyframes. I have another little model here. I like this photograph because he's kind of a meaty cat, like Agent Jack Bauer is definitely a fluffy guy. I also like this image because it's got a lot of bright light coming down from the top, so you can see where the light hits on the different parts of the cat's body and where it casts shadows. When you're adding light, it's really important to just pause and think about where the light is coming from. Envision it. What is the light hitting? That's where a shadow is going to get cast because the light's not going to go through that object. Light is not hard. You just have to stop and think about it. All right, just going on with the rendering. Looks good. Taking a moment to start adding the little splashes where his feet hit the puddles as he's running. And that's when I realize I have a problem. The problem is that if I'm adding details like these splashes to where his little paws are hitting the water, then I can't really cheat where his paws land as I put the keyframes in. It's going to look like he's bouncing, jittering across the screen rather than moving in a smooth fashion. I have to go back and move the keyframes once again, even closer together, so that the previous paw that stays in the same place is actually in the same place as the rest of the body moves forward, etc., etc. So once I did that, it started looking really smooth and really good, but I also realized that I only had about half as many keyframes as I needed to get him across the whole screen.
Oh, we need another cat.
So I had quite a bit of work ahead of me to go back and draw the rest of the keyframes and then go back and render them. But in the end, it was worth the work. And then we're going to finish the rendering with this little butt, which is the last keyframe as he exits out the side of the scene. So now I want to add a few details to really integrate this new animation with the background. For this scene, that's going to include reflections in the puddle and shadows. For the puddle, what I'm doing is I created a new layer and I'm just masking out the puddle with a bright contrasting color. And then I'm going to set alpha lock on there, copy the cat, reverse him to make him into his own reflection, and then paste him onto the alpha locked layer so he will only appear in the area that I masked out. Then I go in there and use the color selection tool and just take that bright color back out, and we have him reflecting only in the puddle. Next, I'm going to add some little shadows. I'm being pretty rough about these. He's going so fast, you're not going to be able to tell whether these shadows are accurate. They're just to kind of link him to the ground a little better. And there you have it. Once that's done, we have a completed animation.
God damn it, Jack Bauer. You really are the man.
Cool, thanks for watching, but get out of here.